Number 11. Unnamed Tourist. In 2019, an unnamed British tourist suffered severe injuries during his stay at a hotel in Magaluf on the Spanish island of Majorca. He claimed that he'd slipped at the pool in a bid to get the hotel to cover his hospital bill, which ran upwards of $45,000. The tourist had suffered several broken ribs, as well as a broken collarbone. Insurers investigated the matter and soon revealed that the man's claim had been fraudulent. They found a video on the tourist's social media of him jumping from a balcony and towards a small tree. The flimsy branches were unable to support his weight and the tourist crashed into the ground, the impact leaving him writhing in pain. It's still unclear whether hotel management called the police after uncovering the truth behind the holidaymaker's story. Number 10. Acton Beale. In 2011, 20-year-old Acton Beale fell from a balcony in Brisbane, Australia, while attempting to take part in the internet fad known as planking. It involved lying face down and motionless, similar to a wooden plank, in unusual or incongruous locations. After a night out with some friends, Beale decided to try planking on the railings of a 7th-floor balcony. Unfortunately, the young man lost his footing and plummeted to the ground. Beale suffered critical injuries and was later pronounced dead. He was reported as the only fatality linked to planking, a fad that had previously been viewed as mostly innocuous. Number 9. Sandra Manuela da Costa Marquito. In 2018, a young woman died while trying to take a selfie on a balcony in Panama City. Portuguese national Sandra Manuela da Costa Marquito had recently arrived in the country where she had a job as a teacher. The 27-year-old was leaning against the balcony railing of a building called the Luxor Tower while holding a selfie stick. Construction workers had shouted at the woman, reportedly trying to warn her about the dangers of what she was doing. Loud wind currents meant that their warnings remained unheard. The exact moment that da Costa Marquito lost her balance was captured by a witness who'd been filming her at the time, fearing the worst. She fell backwards from the railing and plummeted to her death 27 floors. The police launched an investigation into the matter, but their preliminary findings suggested that a strong gust of wind may have knocked the woman from the balcony. Number 8. Anthony Holmes and Antonio Gonzalez. In July of 2020, a British holidaymaker fell to his death from a balcony on the 7th floor of the Meliá Don Pepe Hotel in Marbella, Spain. 49-year-old Anthony Holmes was visiting Costa del Sol with his family when he took the deadly plunge, which was reported as an accident. Holmes landed on top of local Antonio Gonzalez, who owned a gym nearby, and both men passed away from the critical injuries they sustained. 43-year-old Gonzalez was visiting the 5-star hotel with his wife and a few friends to see if it would be a suitable venue for his daughter's communion party. Local media reported that the group enjoyed a late-night drink at the terrace and that they'd been singing Happy Birthday shortly before Holmes fell. Gonzalez's wife, who was sitting beside him, narrowly escaped being hurt. Number 7. Andrew Henderson. In April of 2009, a young English tourist passed away from injuries sustained while attempting a stunt at a Spanish hotel. 21-year-old Andrew Henderson was visiting the country alongside 2 of his friends. One of them would later tell a media outlet, "We had been drinking all day and were all drunk." Andrew was the same. While the others retreated to their double room, Henderson continued to drink alone until 5:30 a.m. He'd reportedly gotten so intoxicated that he needed a receptionist's help getting to his room. Then a few hours later, Henderson tried to surprise his friends by getting into their room through the balcony. Unfortunately, the young man lost his footing and fell from the 5th floor. Henderson was taken to a hospital in Malaga, where he was later pronounced dead. An investigation revealed that earlier in the day, Henderson had been seen jumping back and forth between balconies with ease. It's thus believed that the heavy drinking had contributed to the deadly drop. Number 6. Sebastian Reyes. In 2015, a Chilean man survived a horrific fall from a balcony on the 17th floor of a residential building in Rancagua. 23-year-old Sebastian Reyes had been out with friends to watch Chile play Bolivia in the Copa America soccer tournament. The ensuing celebrations moved to an apartment and continued into the morning. The friends went on the balcony after neighbors complained about the noise. It was there that Reyes suffered the fall, which was estimated at 131 feet. To put that tremendous drop into perspective, it would be like falling from halfway up a giant sequoia, one of the tallest trees on the planet. Amazingly, Reyes survived. The impact of his landing was initially softened by the canvas roof of a parking shelter and, after the man had broken through it, by the hood of a car. The horrific drop was captured by the building's CCTV cameras. The man was taken to a hospital in critical condition with fractures in his pelvis and thigh. He would later recover, and when asked in an interview about how he'd managed to survive, Reyes showed a tattoo on his arm which read, "God, don't abandon me." Number 5. Lolly Mack. In 2004, Englishwoman Lolly Mack was out clubbing when she suffered an accident that would change her life forever. A man named Philip Brady was in the same central London establishment as Mack. Drunk and high on ecstasy, Brady lost his balance and fell from the nightclub's balcony. The man, who stood at 6'3" landed directly on top of Mack. The 30-year-old glamour model thought she'd been punched after she felt a powerful thud on her neck and shoulders. Upon falling to the floor, Mack immediately knew something had gone horribly wrong, as she could only move her eyes to blink. The woman had suffered a broken neck and a compressed spine. She had emergency surgery to stabilize her neck and went through 10 months of rehabilitation. More than a decade after her injury, Mack only regained limited mobility in her arms. She lived with her family and relied on caregivers to help her wash and dress. The woman also suffered from neuropathic pain on a daily basis, caused by a problem with the signals from her nerves. Brady, who hadn't sustained life-threatening injuries in the fall, was found guilty of causing grievous bodily harm and jailed for 2 years. Number 4. Couple fall. In August of 2019, a British holidaymaker was left in critical condition after he and his Canadian partner fell from a balcony at a resort on the French Riviera. It's been reported that the pair were making love while in full view of the public in broad daylight. At some point, they toppled over the first-floor balcony railings and plummeted an estimated 12 feet. It's believed that the unnamed 30-year-old man cushioned his lover in the fall. He was rushed to an intensive care unit in Nice, while the 28-year-old woman, whose identity also wasn't released, was reported as being in stable condition. The police subsequently opened an investigation to determine if drugs or alcohol had been involved in the incident. Number 3. John Bernica. On July the 13th of 2017, US stuntman John Bernica died from injuries sustained during production for AMC's hit series, The Walking Dead. 33-year-old Bernica had amassed abundant experience as a stuntman after working on over 90 films and television series. On The Walking Dead set, he was rehearsing a fight scene on a balcony. As per the scene's requirements, Bernica flipped and fell 20 feet from the balcony. However, instead of landing on the cushion below, he missed it by roughly 2 feet and struck the concrete floor headfirst.
We had someone fall about 25 feet off of a balcony straight onto concrete. We need an ambulance ASAP.
Do you know if he's bleeding from anywhere?
Yes, it's coming out of his nose.
Is he able to talk to anybody?
No.
The production company would later argue human error, claiming that Bernica had held onto the railing, which caused him to change trajectory. He was rushed to Atlanta Medical Center and placed on life support, but died from his extensive injuries the following day. Bernica's family sued the production company, arguing that the stuntman's death could have been prevented. A jury concurred and concluded negligence had played a part in the tragic stunt. Bernica's family was awarded $8.6 million in damages. Today's topic was requested by Amira Abdul Rahman. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Diana Amos Larkin. In 2015, a young gymnast suffered a brutal 50-feet fall from a hotel balcony in Salou, Spain. 21-year-old Diana Amos Larkin was visiting the country to attend a 4-day sports festival. On April the 3rd, she was talking with her mother on the phone when she fell from the 4th-floor balcony of the Hotel Jamie. Local media initially reported her fall as a suicide attempt. Amos Larkin was rushed to the hospital with critical injuries to her spine. She was placed in a medically induced coma. The young woman who represented Great Britain at trampolining and who captained the cheerleading squad at Surrey University was left paralyzed from the chest down. Upon waking up from the coma, she clarified that the incident had in no way been a suicide attempt. Amos Larkin told a media outlet that she was smoking a cigarette while talking to her mother and that she fell after leaning backwards on the railing. Number 1. Tom Stilwell. In 2013, British man Tom Stilwell survived a fall from the 15th floor balcony of a building in New Zealand. The 20-year-old, who was on a working holiday, was locked out of his apartment on the 14th floor. Stilwell asked a neighbor above him if he could climb down her balcony. The woman, who described him as tipsy but polite, agreed, admittedly thinking Stilwell wouldn't go through with it. Upon realizing the dangers he faced, the young man wasted no time in climbing over the railing, but lost his footing and plummeted over 100 feet. His fall was cushioned by the roof of an adjacent building roughly 13 floors below. Stilwell was taken to the emergency room in critical condition, but recovered within days as, miraculously, none of his injuries had been life-threatening. Thanks for watching. Would you rather jump between balconies on the last floor of a skyscraper, or be locked in a room with a rabid wolf for an hour? Let us know in the comments section below.